Have you ever wondered why fried chicken, a dish that seems so simple, has become a cultural symbol for an entire region? Specifically, the American South. Sounds odd, right? But here's the thing, not everything in this world is just food to fill your belly. Sometimes, it's a story, a history, a piece of a community's soul. Southern fried chicken is a perfect example of that. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever eaten fried chicken somewhere that left a lasting impression on you? Comment the name of the place or share the memory below. I'd love to read each one. And another one, if there was one dish that truly represented who you are, what would it be? Go ahead, share that too. Now, back to the story. Southern fried chicken is more than just a meal. It's the product of culture, history, and the blending of different social classes and racial backgrounds. To understand why this dish has become a celebrated icon, we need to go back to the 18th and 19th centuries. Fried chicken wasn't originally an American invention. It was the Scots who brought the deep frying technique to the New World. But something unique happened in the American South. Enslaved Africans, many of whom were incredibly skilled cooks, took that technique and infused it with their own creativity, care, and spirit, transforming it into something uniquely Southern. The way they seasoned the chicken, used lard to fry it so the skin turned crisp and the meat stayed juicy, all of it created a fried chicken style unlike any other. If you're still with me and starting to find this fascinating, drop a comment saying, "I never knew food could have this kind of story." So I know you're enjoying this journey too. Now, here's what makes it even more special, and honestly, one of the most touching weird food facts I've ever heard. During slavery, black people weren't allowed to raise cattle or pigs, but they were permitted to keep a few chickens. Fried chicken became one of the rare dishes they could prepare during special occasions, reunions, celebrations, and it held deep spiritual and survival meaning. Yes, it's one of those weird food facts that reminds you how food can tell stories of survival, strength, and soul. That's also why, later on, when black communities gained more freedom, fried chicken became more than just a dish. It became a memory, a symbol of resistance and survival in the face of injustice. And then, fried chicken began to step outside the small kitchens of Southern families. It followed the black migrants heading north during the Great Migration, when millions of African Americans left the South in search of better opportunities in the North and West during the early 20th century. These folks didn't just bring suitcases, they brought culture, memories, and of course, treasured family recipes for fried chicken. And slowly, from the corners of Harlem, to the streets of Chicago, to markets in Los Angeles, fried chicken spread, silently shaping a major part of America's modern food identity. But what I find most fascinating is when this dish became a pop icon. Have you noticed? In American rap, hip-hop, and film, fried chicken shows up as an unmistakable symbol. Not just because it's tasty, but because of its historical significance and cultural connection. From Spike Lee's films, to Kendrick Lamar's lyrics, to Beyoncé giving her fans fried chicken coupons, it's clear, fried chicken isn't just food. It's pop culture. Now imagine this, it's a summer afternoon, you're sitting on the porch, holding a hot, crispy piece of fried chicken in your hand, listening to old soul music from a small radio. It's not just a food moment, it's a nostalgic, Southern-rooted experience. Let me ask you honestly, is there a dish that makes you feel like you're back in your childhood? For Southern Americans, fried chicken is exactly that. If you have one of those dishes, don't be shy, drop it in the comments. We all have a memory-filled meal like that. And you know what? Here's another one of those weird food facts. Despite being rooted in black Southern culture, fried chicken became a mainstream American favorite through fast food chains that rarely mentioned its cultural origins. When people talk about American cuisine, they often think of burgers, pizza, or hot dogs. But for Southerners, fried chicken is the soul. And what's amazing is, the world is finally catching on to that. You'll find fried chicken at big chains like KFC, Popeyes, and Chick-fil-A. But real Southern-style fried chicken? You're more likely to find it in small, family-owned restaurants, where the owner might proudly tell you how their grandma used to fry chicken, and how they've kept the flavor the same for decades. And that humble yet soulful quality is exactly what makes fried chicken a symbol of authenticity, not flashy, not extravagant, but unforgettable. Honestly, that might be one of the most delicious weird food facts hiding in plain sight. If you enjoy this kind of storytelling podcast, drop a comment like please do more episodes like this. So I know you're loving these casual, down-to-earth stories about American culture and history. You know, sometimes a single golden crispy bite of food can hold centuries of history. Southern fried chicken is living proof of that. On a deeper level, fried chicken is a symbol of existence. In a time of injustice, when black voices were silenced, and poverty was woven into daily life, that one piece of fried chicken was something they could control. They made it with their own hands, seasoned it with their own creativity, and claimed it as their own. That was identity. That was pride. And maybe that's also why, as fried chicken became popular across the US and even around the world, part of the black community reacted strongly. Because it had become commercialized, turned into a trendy icon, without acknowledgement of its true roots. Many felt, this was our food, and yet it wasn't being honored as our cultural heritage. Today, a new generation of black chefs is rewriting that narrative. They're reopening traditional fried chicken joints. They're writing books, launching podcasts, holding festivals. All to say one thing, fried chicken is not just food. It's history. It's pride. So the next time you take a bite of fried chicken, remember, you're tasting a slice of American history. A history filled with tears, but also strength and brilliance. And hey, if you've ever heard a food culture story that made you go, wait, what? That's amazing, tell me about it. I love those kinds of stories. Comment below, I promise I read every single one. From fried chicken, we can learn something profound. Culture doesn't have to be grand or abstract. It lives in the plate you eat from, the stories you were told as a child, the flavors that bring you back when you're far from home. It's simple, real, and touches the deepest parts of us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe to the channel. I'll be back with more stories about culture through food and even more unexpected weird food facts that are just as surprising and heartfelt. Thank you so much for staying with me all the way to the end. Honestly, it's listeners like you that inspire me to keep sharing stories like these. I hope that from now on, whenever you see fried chicken, you'll smile and remember, not just the taste, but the very American story behind it. And I'll wrap up with one final thought. Don't judge a dish only by its flavor, sometimes, it carries an entire history, waiting for you to listen.